Hello and welcome back to Building Tomorrow's Insurer, where we explore the edge of what's possible in insurance and technology. I'm your host, Nigel Fellowes-Freeman. I'm the founder and CEO of Kanopi. And this episode is one I have really been looking forward to, finding folks that have a deep understanding of both AI, Agentic AI, and insurance, few and far between, especially in the financial services industry. And so today we are going to go deep. We're going to go deep into Agentic AI. Are systems that maybe don't just predict or classify, but really actually decide and act, and we'll understand what does that actually mean, hopefully by the end of the session today. And I think that it's on the tip of everyone's tongues. Everybody's thinking about it. And today we're going to try and bring a little bit of clarity and transparency to it. And I could not be more excited to be joined today by Felipe Flores, who is the SVP of Data and AI at Endava, who I'd done a little bit of research before we jumped on this. And it seems that you've been in and around this for a long time, Felipe, in AI and data and financial services. And so really, really excited to have you today. So thanks so much for your time.
No, Nigel, thank you so much, mate. I've been really looking forward to coming on the show, to our conversation and helping, uncover what Agentic AI is doing and can do in the insurance industry. I think it's a really exciting place to be. So I'm excited about and keen to dive deep and get into it. And yeah, as you were saying, I've spent a long time around data and AI, about 22 years now. And the first AI system that I built was in mid 2000s, so 2006, 2007. And that was using brainwave activity to detect fatigue in truck drivers in mines. And I remember writing thousands and thousands of lines of code on something that you can do with 3 lines of code today and have much more powerful algorithms doing the work for you. So the space has moved at an accelerating pace, and now the impact that it's having across the board is phenomenal. So I'm very excited to jump into and discuss everything related to that with you today, mate. Thank you.
Awesome. Pleasure. Look, thanks so much for that context. Super helpful. I think we obviously have a lot of conversations with execs at board level across Australia, but actually globally. And folks are starting to get their heads around AI and LLMs. Then they were just getting their heads around like reasoning models and how reasoning models are going to impact them. And now we're laying on top of that kind of the agentic systems. And so can you break that down for us a little bit, just to start right at the real plain language around that layering of kind of traditional AI into LLMs, into those reasoning models, and then kind of finally into Agentic AI. Can you kind of layer that up for us to really kind of set the scene?
Yes, definitely. And that, what you just mentioned there, that is the key, is that every innovation and new development has been a stepping stone to help us get to the next level. So from an AI perspective, if we start there, over time, we were building larger and larger neural networks, which is the sort of the key type of model architecture behind AI. And the neural networks and the AI started to do more and more interesting, more and more powerful things around understanding text and understanding images, and being able to detect what was in images and understand, be able to classify what was in different images. And a lot of businesses started leveraging that power. A lot of the hyperscalers like Google and AWS starting providing APIs, Microsoft as well, APIs for people to build upon that AI. And then as these models started to grow, as they were getting more and more data behind them, the next leap was jumping into the large language models, where the task there was predicting what was the next most logical word to add to this piece of text, to this response. And the early days, I would describe it to people, the describe the large language models when ChatGPT first came out in 2021, November that year. So at the beginning, I would describe it as it's a stand-up comic, not a librarian. And what I mean by that is at the time, and particularly early on, a lot of people were going to ChatGPT and other language models to find information that was out there in the world and thinking of it as a librarian. Give me something that's real, that's out there. And that was not the case. That was what Google did. The language models, they're probabilistic. They're trying to give you trying to predict what is the next word and few words that make sense in this context and that sound reasonable and words that generally sit together and providing that an answer based on that. That was kind of the initial and what today is seen as the more basic versions of LLMs.
And sorry, Philippe, just to jump in, and that next word is essentially a token. And so when people hear that kind of word token thrown around, just for clarity for everyone, that use of a token is the prediction of the next word.
That's right, and the token is the input. So all the words that go in, those are passed into tokens, and then the output. So the amount of words that are being outputted, and in the APIs, for example, the AI APIs, you get charged per token, and so that's a really good call out to make. And yeah, the LLMs would definitely have improved a lot since first coming out, and but some of the limitations is that they're really bad with maths questions, with calendars, with anything that requires the reasoning, and sometimes to people's surprise, and from an AI perspective, the people that create the LLMs, they're saying, well, these are language models, so their specialty is in language, not in reasoning that you would need for mathematics, for calendar management, for optimization, and things like that. So then from there, we've added different layers on top of the LLM in order to provide the powers that it needs to round out the capability. And that means access to tools that are external and reasoning. The reasoning is a key one on giving here you start to create a system that it can perceive, it can reason, it can act, and it can learn. And this is how we start to get to Agentic AI, where the agents, they're able to have a goal and take multiple steps in order to get to that goal. And sometimes people that use ChatGPT, Claude, or some of the LLMs that they use them a lot will notice that you have to have a kind of lengthy conversation with the system sometimes to be able to get to the output that you needed. So the agent, if you think about taking that to an agentic framework, the AI agent is trying to do that work that the humans is doing at the moment in terms of pairing with an LLM and providing a context and the information and doing any type of calculations that the LLM can't do in order to get to an outcome. So that's where we start to open up the world of possibilities and being able to provide to get AI agents to take on parts of workflows from small to large and give us a lot more speed, remove bottlenecks, decrease costs, and be able to have more efficient businesses and better customer experiences. And the way that we got there is by layering these innovations one on top of the other.
Is there any big misconceptions? You've spoken there of what agentic systems can start to do, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But is there any misconceptions that you hear day to day of the things that are like the falsehoods that people think that are true that they're just misconceptions?
Heaps. So some of them are at the moment there is, I believe, an overinflated view of what AI agents can do. and that where I see the line in particular is that in the way that or the line is on the amount of human in the loop or human intervention that you need. So the areas where I'm seeing the greatest success is where the agents are doing the background task and bringing it to humans for approval, declined, or feedback. And that pairing works quite well. And it's so you still need people essentially to be a part of that, but the AI agents are able to take a lot of the mundane tasks that people don't really enjoy, and then you have more time for greater value work. I think I think that's definitely a big one. The other one is the seeing the amount of agents that you need in order to take on a task. So at the moment, the capabilities of an AI agent is quite narrow. So when you are thinking about automating workflow processes, the amount of a task or the responsibilities for each AI agent needs to be really specialized, really narrow, almost like a small percentage of a task that a human would do. And as a result, to automate larger workflows, you need lots of really specialized agents working together and then giving them shared memories, shared capabilities, assigning roles to different agents, giving them the ability to collaborate and get a sense of what each other are doing. So what we're seeing more and more in the agent space is teams of agents. So multi-agent systems that are tackling processes and automations together, and that the humans are kind of the managers of those, so that the agents are not a chatbot that you bolt onto your website. They are a digital staff member, that work all together, and that the human is in charge of that. So that management thinking, where humans are going to be managing teams of agents, and that's something that I think is coming really soon.
The one thing I hear a little bit, I'd love to get your view on this, because I think this my naive view. There's some elements that are true, but it's just where we are today versus where we're going, and that is you get some feedback around RPAs and businesses like a UiPath or those kind of like big UI, big RPA businesses that did some of this stuff we're just talking about, which is kind of workflow automation. And so, can you kind of give your perspective on that in terms of the agentic and multi agents doing those workflows we've just spoken about, compared to maybe a more traditional like RPA approach?
Yeah, definitely. So the promise of RPA is, and what they've delivered on is being able to repeat a process at scale, but that process needed to be almost exactly the same every time. So it was people that used to upload a PDF into a file, and it was copy and paste the case ID from this part, put it into this search box, click here, and upload the PDF there. Perfect example for the RPA, because you're essentially, it's almost like a record macro functionality or Excel, or you're recording your screen saying click here, add this there, copy and paste it from here, done. And the RPA would do that 1,000 times, 10,000 times, 100,000 times, as many times as it needed to do it. With AI agents, that gets turbocharged, or it goes on steroids, where in between you have an agent with intelligence, where you're able to say, give higher level descriptions of what needs to be done, and the AI agents are able to interact with the software or the system, whatever they need to do. They're able to interact with it, so they're able to say, take in documents, understand what's in the documents, pull out the right information, interact with systems to put in the information from the document in different places, and then start to move along the process that happens in that platform based on the information from the document and the rules that are provided from the organization and the system. So the part of the process that can be automated becomes much greater as a result of having that intelligence, and for it to be able to perceive and reason, act and learn over time. So a lot of and one of the big benefits is that organizations that have been doing processes manually, so almost any part that has been being done manually at the moment as a process or even as a workaround, it means that organizations have that data as training data for their AI. So I'm speaking to insurance organizations where sometimes 30 or 40% of invoices go straight through processing. And it means that the remainder, the 60 to 70%, have been done manually at the moment. And from an AI perspective, that's excellent, because you have all these examples of what needs to be done in the system, how the information has been extracted from the document, what's the relevant pieces. All that data essentially exists, and it's about training the AI with that in order to breach the gap on that automation, and then cut cost, improve the customer experience, and be able to get to outcomes faster.
You touched on a piece there, which again, I hear, and I want to get your view on, which is insurance a good fit? I think I get some thoughts from where it's really good for B2C. It's great for like a consumer little application, but insurance isn't quite right. We're a bit too regulated. It isn't quite right the fit for us. Have you got a obviously I think very differently to that, and I'm sure you do too, but I'd love to get your perspective on that, whether you think insurance is a good fit for where we are as agents today and in the future.
100%. It's one of those industries that has the needs, the capabilities that AI and AI agents can provide across so many different components, from customer experience. And I've seen organizations where in the call centers, for example, they're dipping their toes, and they have started their AI, Agentic AI journey by summarizing the calls using AI agents and putting that information straight into the system. And some of the improvements that I've seen there is that the call center agents would spend, say, 2 minutes on post-call notes to now having 30 seconds to review the information that the agents have summarized and uploaded into the systems. And all the way to back office processing, risk management, underwriting. The spectrum that can be automated and improved with the AI agents in insurance is extremely exciting. And I see a world where in 5 years the landscape's going to be looking very different.
Yeah, I was listening to another podcast last week, and it was the CEO of Gorgeous, which is a customer service application, an agentic customer service application in the US. And they were saying that generally, when they look at the bell curve of use cases being solved by those agents today, it's sitting like 30 to 40% in terms of complete hands-off. Now, there's folks that are really focusing enormously on it and getting up 60 and 70, but the middle of the bell curve right now is 30, 40%. And if you applied that to a workforce, obviously that's an enormous amount of effort that's being kind of taken away. But when you've spoken a couple about there around some use cases you're starting to see, have you got a sense of what you speak to a lot of insurance execs? Where are insurers today in terms of AI maturity? Are they in the first innings? Are they just starting to play? Where we hear a little bit about everyone's generally in like test and learn phase. There's not really things in production. Are you seeing anything different to that?
I am. So there's the landscape from my perspective. It's still overhyped, as in like there's way more discussion than the amount of initiatives in production, but there are really good ones. And what I'm seeing is the in the different areas of insurance businesses, the simpler parts of those processes are the ones that are being automated with agentic AI first. And that seems to be working quite well, particularly in areas that have human in the loop and that they're supporting internal staff. And that's around claims automation and management, notification to customers, risk assessments, underwriting, the call center example that I mentioned before, recommendations and renewals, are document analysis, and those are and some of the areas where I see organizations getting a little benefit is, for example, in surge management. So when there are times where there's a lot of claims coming in, having these systems handling a lot of the claims process is able to support organizations through those times that there's extra demand. And the systems, as you were saying, like they are able to get part of the backlog done, and the complexity of those cases or that work is generally on the lower end, but it means that you're able to make a huge difference in the business and have people focusing on the more complex ones.
Yeah, good. And there's some really low hanging fruit. Like just a couple of weeks ago, like we're in the business, we run like just hackathons at least every quarter, but maybe a little bit more often than that. And we just let the team run wild for the last one we did. And one of the team, a single engineer, in a day, built like a claim summarizer, like multimodal claim summarizer. And it was great. Like, obviously it wasn't quite production ready. It was only done in a day, but it just showed like very like clear example of how quickly you can, if you have a lot reasonable sized data set and an engineer that's ready to kind of move quickly and lean on some of the capability of these kind of multimodal models, you can actually deliver some value very, very quickly and I suppose that's with a minimal exposure of risk. And I'm interested to hear what you hear from execs today on the risk side. And obviously anything customers facing is risky, but we can do things internally that aren't being exposed to customers that is a less risky thing. Is there any concerns that you specifically hear from execs, and have you got any, like, how you counsel them when you're talking to them around kind of risk mitigation and compliance and those kind of areas?
Yes, no, that's a great point. And so just briefly before jumping into the risk part, the as you were saying, the ability to deliver has come such a long way that by using the AI coding agents, an individual is able to cover so much more ground than ever before in delivering these prototypes and showing the art of the possible. And that's something that I definitely encourage people to dip their toe in. And some of the ones are systems that you can start using for free, like Windsor and Cursor, where you have a conversation with the system and it's writing code for you, and you can connect it to the OpenAI APIs and the other services, and create these multimodal systems quite quickly to show what is possible, and definitely within a day. As things start to scale, then obviously that's a different conversation, taking from prototype to production, and you need to be thinking about the architecture. But getting to that proof of value is quite quick. As a result, it opens up the floodgates essentially for areas of application, and that's where risk becomes top of mind for so many executives. And the areas where people are getting a lot of value, where they're and success, from what I'm seeing, is areas where the human in the loop is still a part of that. So examples where the AI agents are doing a lot of the work of the process, and then it goes to a human for approval and feedback, and it helps the agents improve over time. That's cutting a lot of time down from processing, and is enabling organizations to move a lot faster. Otherwise, it's when it does become externally facing, it's more around providing information and triaging, essentially. So identifying at which step in the process does the customer need to be raised for a human interaction, and being able to do that in a much more seamless and smooth manner. But yeah, I'm seeing those a little bit less at the moment compared to the internal automation and having human in the loop. And I think for now it makes sense. And the technologies are going to continue to mature and improve, and then we're going to get to seeing more examples, like I saw from Lemonade in the US, that they're cut their costs, their claims processing and payments time by about like 90% by introducing AI agents. And that's the expectations that customers have at the moment. That at the moment, the majority of the complaints that are going to regulators from an insurance's perspective is around that delay in claims processing and payments. So looking at how we can balance our risk internally and meet the customer demands is something that's going to be setting organizations apart, and the agentic AI space is a great enabler for that.
Yeah, going a little deeper into that, into some use cases. I think people listening, it's always good to really get a little deeper into the use case, and maybe I'll just talk about one I heard a couple of weeks ago, and I'd love to hear some of your thoughts. And so I chatted to a large global insurer who was basically missing out on they were looking at their cyber as a line of business, and they were basically quoting 0% of the cyber opportunities that came in, and that was because with cyber it takes generally you get a lot of documents in, there's a lot of risk that needs to be worked through, so the underwriter would take a couple of days to work through this, so almost 2 days before going back with the potential quote. And obviously by that time, it's been given to somebody else. And so they were quoting 0%. And then this insurer integrated an agentic system, which kind of took the documents, passed them, extracted all the information, then kind of gave, they'd used all of their kind of underwriting rules and what's within appetite. I identified all those things. If it was green ticks all the way through, then it became something they'd want to look at. It then kind of showed it to the underwriter, who said, yep, that's something I want to quote on. Kind of pressed go. It then took all of the data they had into the risk information, hit the rate, it came back with the price, and sent it straight back to, again, underwriter says yes to send email, goes back out to customer. And they went from 0% to 100% in half an hour. And so they did the transformation in this cyber business has been extraordinary. And so it was just a real world example I'd seen in a large carrier that's actually implementing these things in production and making a really meaningful impact to the business. And maybe have you got any kind of examples, maybe outside of underwriting, in different areas that you've seen, obviously without sharing any names, but anything you kind of seen that's been super interesting?
Yeah, where there's been bigger areas of the of workflows being shared. There's so similarly in claims assistance, so processing of claims. So kind of moving beyond underwriting on the claims side, very similar that getting the information from the customer, understanding all the documents, bringing that information down, seeing whether they've presented the right information and what triaging and decisions need to be made off the back of that. It's something that being done manually, it could be 20 minutes per case, it could be 45 minutes per case, depending on the complexity, and being able to almost like outsource that to a team that's helping you move through those. The insurers are able to go from those 20 to 40 minutes per case down to a few minutes, under 10, where the AI component happens within a couple of minutes or a minute to 2 minutes. And then the rest of the time is humans being able to review, check, provide feedback, and the speed up that I'm seeing in that space is phenomenal. Similarly, on digital assistance, so there's organizations that are looking at how conversational AI can handle queries end to end, and that's in insurers that we've been working with. That's managing multiple million so more than 2.5 million inquiries every couple of months, and it's saving call center time by about 10 to 15% by having that impact or providing that service directly with the customer. So I think that there's multiple areas that can be automated with agentic AI, and crunching down that time, going from multiple days to get back to a customer or weeks to within a working week, you can be getting back to a customer, having closed their query and providing a great customer experience.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it? And so if you're an exec listening today and you're going, you know what, I've been thinking about this, I've been on the fence. I need to somehow start to work with my team here. I need to work with my team on how do we start to investigate this. Have you got any, what's the first question execs should be asking themselves and their teams when looking at going down this path of implementing this kind of agentic AI strategy?
Yeah, great question. So there's a few really good starting points. One is around identifying bottlenecks. So where in our processes are we getting stuck? Areas with lots of manual work, areas that are very costly to deliver are great starting points to say, is there a part here where we can inject AI agents to solve the question? And there's a couple of different approaches that I've seen people take when it gets to that point, that on one end of the spectrum, people are leaving the workflow or process largely the same, but identifying where are the bottlenecks in that process. So the whole process might look like it's not meeting the demand, but if you dig into the process, there's usually one or two or three key points at which the bottlenecks happen. And then on one end of the spectrum, I'm discussing with people, let's focus on including AI agents just in that one part of the process, just in this bit of bottleneck. And that seems to be releasing a lot of pressure that is happening and increasing the throughput of that process. Going further, and maybe towards the other end of the spectrum, it's a process redesign where and that kind of usually follows a typical process redesign methodology, where we start with the as is process. We design the target state process. The target state is designed for AI agents. So each of the tasks is very narrowly defined, and we start to plan to have a team of agents taking over the majority of the process. And then it goes into execution, where all these different agents are created and the capabilities for them to work together are provided. So there's a couple of entry points there and a couple of approaches on how far you want to take it. But starting with a workflow and focusing on the bottlenecks that it has is very accessible today, and it can make a huge difference in your business.
A massive difference. And so that's kind of first one, which is identifying kind of what things should we look at first, and therefore like do a small slice or entire workflow replacement. And then I'm sure the exec thinks, okay, great, that's what I want to do. How do I do that? Obviously, I'm sure you hear a lot of people saying, do I have the skills? Do I have the team to be able to do this? Should I do it internally? Should I build it myself? Should I work with a consulting firm? Should I should I buy something and take something that's already built? How do you kind of start to go around how these execs should be thinking about that decision making of should I kind of build, partner, or buy?
Yes, it's it's a great question. Organizations that have the opportunity to leverage, as in being able to leverage what's been done in other parts of the organization, is definitely an easy entry point. Or sometimes within the group, there's opportunities to leverage of what kind of sibling companies or parent companies have done. Look for those opportunities first. It's definitely a low cost way to get something going. Beyond that, what I'm saying most commonly is for these pieces of work to be outsourced in Australia at the moment, where the in-house teams, I'm seeing them do a lot of POCs and being interested in the space. And often organizations are backed up with the amount of work that they need to deliver internally, and it takes a while to develop the skills internally to get there. And organizations are investing in that, and I think it's important for the Australian economy and our productivity that we continue to do that. For the faster delivery, I'm saying organizations leverage the market and outsourcing for that, and finding a really good partner is a great way to do it. So yeah, at Endava, we're speaking to obviously multiple customers every day, looking at their all the different parts of their business that sometimes are not very close to AI or not very AI related, but that might have been the traditional thinking, but now almost anything can be powered by AI. So I see executives that are looking for those opportunities, having making a big difference, and then focusing on the return. Like, what is the value that we can make here? Which this conversation, you've definitely made sure that we're focusing on what is the impact that we can have by bringing in this technology, from a business perspective and from a customer perspective. So yeah, I encourage people to reach out to the market. Definitely reach out to Endava, reach out to me, and we're very happy to support people in their agentic AI journey.
Yeah, and like the other side of that, Felipe, which is it's when people are having their mindsets, like SaaS products previously, you license a product, you plug it in, and it's good to go, does the job. Can you do that today with agentic systems? Can you go, actually, I really want an agentic system to fix my financial workflows. I'm just going to go and buy this thing off the shelf and plug it in, and it all magically works. I think I know the answer, but does that thing exist? Can I do that today, or does there need to be this configuration part of the flow to actually make that product or system work for my business?
At the moment, it needs a configuration. So yes, exactly. It needs to be customized and tailored and often designed. So yeah, that's not to say that it's not coming. And I see some of the common problems like document processing or some of the claims management and areas like that are going to have really robust AI systems in those spaces very soon. But at the moment, it's very custom for the organization, custom for the use case, for the type of processes that they have, and it needs that tailored build.
Yeah, and just to extend to that, I think I know I could speak all day, Felipe, and we'll wrap soon. I promise. I'll let you get back to your day.
This is great.
But the generation of the muscle memory of organizations to start working with these systems, obviously going from kind of like your large language models or then coming into agentic systems, the importance of the speed of change in which maybe something that you and your team tried 3 months ago and failed at because the system wasn't quite there. I think we found even within our business and all the agentic work that we do internally, something that we tried a few months ago and now we tried again. Now it's already different. It's already changed and working. And so I think building that muscle memory within an organization, even if you don't get the results you want straight away, it just feels to me so important that organizations are working with these systems, that are learning, that are building the skill sets, that are working with external organizations, whoever they are, to help grow that understanding of how this is going to impact their businesses is so important, because it's going to have such a meaningful impact on your business over the next 12, 24, 36 months, that just starting and starting small and iterating is a really critical component.
100%. Like the pace of innovation in this space is astronomical, and every week multiple companies are releasing, latest models to do A, B, or C, where it's opening whole new worlds of opportunities in different spaces. And, in the last couple of weeks, it's been on the AI coding agents from OpenAI, from Microsoft, from Google, where now you can have an AI coding assistant where instead of coding with you, that you're now able to give it coding tasks. It does it in the background and brings it back to you when it's done. So effectively, it's having a virtual team member doing work for you, and you can do the problem solving or the design identification of the problem, and then handing it over to that is something that it needed much more human involvement just a couple of weeks ago, and now the time that we're saving on that front has been greatly improved. So every week there's something new, and definitely really important to stay up to date and to keep trying every so often, because the difference you can make is huge.
Absolutely huge. Well, Felipe, I'm not going to ask you too much more, because we do have myself and Felipe, and we're going to bring a couple of others from the industry to another roundtable session we're going to have in a few weeks' time, and go deeper and deeper into this agentic space. But Felipe, thank you so much for your time today. We've given everyone, I think, a little snippet of if they didn't know what they should be thinking about and looking at, like how they should be starting to think about agents and think about how they can impact their workforce. And so thank you so much for your time. It's been I've really appreciated it.
Thanks, Nigel. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I'm looking forward to the roundtable.
Awesome. Well, everybody at home, I hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I did. If you want to see myself and Felipe's faces, you can jump over onto YouTube and see us talking away. And as always, if you want to hear more from industry leaders who are pushing the boundaries in insurance, please do check out our other episodes of our podcast series, Building Tomorrow's Insurer. And we will be sharing the dates and the sign up forms to be able to come to the roundtable in a few weeks' time. And so we'll bring some insurance execs, we'll bring some other kind of AI folks similar to Felipe, and we'll have a pretty robust discussion about what is the status quo of today, and where can be the organizations going to be looking for the future. So thank you so much for your time, everybody, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you.